Oh, I'm good. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something else. I just saw you with the thumbs up. Okay, so we're good to go. So thank you guys for taking the time to get on. I'm Executive Regional Vice President Marie Tomlinson up here in upstate New York, where even though it was March and I think it's now officially spring, it was like 20 degrees today and snow on the ground. So that's where I'm coming to you from. And I want to thank you for taking the time to get on tonight. And I'm just going to dive right in because I have a lot of information that I want to share and cover with you guys, and some tools that I just hope will help you. Some things that I have learned and have helped me along the way. And so we're just going to dive right in. And I do have to tell you that a lot of what I'm going to say, well, if I'm honest, probably all of what I'm going to say, I can't really take credit for because I just hear and learn and then regurgitate and copy everybody else. But a lot of what I'm going to share with you today was actually from a training that an area manager, Elaine Friend on my team, did for our district manager retreat a couple of weeks ago. And she's not only an area manager on my team, but she's also my sister. So I love being able to work with her and learn from her. And this training that she did, she was just so wise and had great points in it. So I just have to credit a lot of it to her. And I probably would have had her, she would be on here and maybe helping me a little bit, but she actually just had a baby Monday. So she's a little bit out of commission with that. So I'm going to pass on some of her words of wisdom along with a few things I've tied in of my own. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is the skill of making phone calls. Did you guys remember that this can call people? We can make a phone call and talk to somebody on the other end of this. Many of us have maybe forgotten how, but we can do that. I know that we nowadays, even for like my doctor's appointments and dentist appointments, like get text messages and stuff now. So we're going to bring it a little old school and go back to talking about phone calls. And the reason I want to do that is because I have seen, when I first started 10 years ago in my Arbonne business, we didn't have texting like we do now. Like we just called people. And to be honest, I've seen a pattern in my business over the years that whenever I go back to calling, I get better results. And I'm talking about calling for, we're focusing tonight on specifically asking and making calls for asking someone to host a group presentation or spa night, product sampling party, whatever it is you call it, where, you have a host that's getting together 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 friends, and you're going to share Arbonne with them and sample the products. So that's what we're going to focus in on, because that's just one of the best ways to grow our business, because you have multiple people there at one time. You can grow your network. And I think that this is definitely a lost skill, becoming a lost skill in our day and age. And I do, of course, I'm not anti-texting. I text. And I think that text is great for a lot of things in our business. I text in my business. But like I said, I think that it's a good skill for us to have, because I want to encourage you, if you do not have a full calendar and full activity, and you only or primarily text as your mode of asking, then I want to challenge you to give this a try and see if you get better results that way. Because like I said, I know for myself, I honestly do. And I have seen many other people that I've coached as well have gotten great results this way too. Now, even if let's say maybe you do primarily text, you've got a full calendar, I still think there's going to be pieces of this that are for you, because you're going to run into having people that you're going to be coaching and sharing on your team. And I think this is a good skill for all of us to have. So we're going to go through and talk about why I think it's important and why I think it works, and then some tips that I have for you. And then we're going to go through the actual ask and some of what to say, and even how to engage in conversation with someone who maybe has a hesitation or is a no at first, but how to kind of dialogue through that. So first, we know, you probably heard said before, or if you're new, you will hear us say that activity cures everything. And I know when I look at my business, the times that I'm stressed out in my business, every single time, anytime I feel stressed in my business, is when I don't have full calendar and don't have activity. When you have activity, it takes the worry out of our business because you're just doing it and you learn as you go when you're plugging in. And it really simplifies our business. So I just want to encourage you that if you don't have a full calendar right now, then that's your number one focus, is doing this work, reaching out to people to get a full calendar. I know sometimes we think about all the different things we need to do. Oh, follow up, or should I do this or should I do that? If you don't have a full calendar, you don't have a business. So that's where you focus first. And I would just encourage you to focus in on that for however many days it takes to get that full and get you rolling. Then that gives you the confidence where it starts growing. So I know, and I know that what I've experienced in the past, and this is something that Elaine shared on the call too, and I could relate to it, is that a lot of times what I've done in the past, or I've seen happen even for others, is, I'll work and I'll reach out to people and I'll book maybe like 3 or 4 bookings. And then I think, oh, that's pretty good. Like, that's really good. I worked hard to get those. I'll probably get bookings from those bookings and then I'll really start rolling. So then what can happen is you get that call or that text and you get a hostess that cancels and you're like, no, because now you're down to only 2 or 3. And then maybe one of the parties is kind of a bust. Maybe, I've had, even as a VP, I've had $0 parties. It happens sometimes. Or maybe it's like $100 party and you don't get any other bookings and you get nothing from that. And then it's like, now I have 2 parties. And it just sets you back and discourages you. So I want to encourage you to just push through and be consistent. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but that you are in control of your calendar and your activity in your business. It's up to you. It's up to me to create our activity. So just make your focus on getting your calendar full with the activities you need to then even have breathing room if you need it. So the other thing that I've learned is that it's up to us to set the tone and decide what we want to make happen. So this is big when we are, where our mindset is what determines our expectations, which affect our language, our tone, and our confidence, which then affect the outcome. So I want you to check yourself, because this is where I have had these thoughts and I have seen them self-sabotage my outcome in this area of calling and asking people. So I want you to take out of your vocabulary, and this means what you say out loud and what you think in your head, what you say to yourself. Don't say things like, no one ever answers the phone anymore. Parties don't work anymore. They're going to think I'm weird if I call. Making calls is so hard, right? We've all had those thoughts, right? So as soon as those come in, you got to stop those thoughts, because if you let yourself marinate on that, it's going to affect your tone, your language, your confidence, which is going to affect the outcome, I promise you. So turn that around and realize that, honestly, every one of those things I said, well, anytime you're saying nobody or always or never, if you ever find yourself using one of those words followed by a sentence, it's just a lie. It's not true, because nothing always happens or never happens, or everyone doesn't always do something. And those are a lot of the lies we tell ourselves, which is that our confidence and our joy out of this business. So, and it's because, they're assumptions. There are plenty of people out there. Instead, look for the things that are truth. Like, if you've ever held a party before or ever called and gotten a booking before, it obviously works. So focus on that and know that there are people, you're looking for the people out there who want to say yes. So it's really about your mindset and expectations and making sure they're in the right place first. And I was actually talking with somebody the other day about this on my team, Regional Vice President Danielle Piper. And if she should be on here, Danielle, I'm going to ask her just for one quick minute to kind of share, because she had a really big shift a few months ago regarding this in her business. Are you on here, Danielle?
Yep, I'm on. Okay.
You want to go ahead and share real quick your experience with this recently?
Yes. So I have a real big problem in my business right now. And the problem is I can't do all the parties that I book. And I pray every week that somebody cancels. This weekend I have 5 presentations booked. And for the sake of my family, I hope 2 of them cancel. And it's funny because 2 years ago, or even a year ago, I would say like, nobody will book with me. I can't book any parties. Like when I decided to actually do presentations, I'm like, I can't get anyone to book. Marie, no one will book a party. And so she said to me, well, what shifted? Well, how did you get from no one will book and I can't do all the presentations that book? And here it is. I said, no one will book with me. I said it again and again. And my upline told me, Marie, Nair, Jessica, Tammy, just ask more people. So I asked more people and I asked very poorly, but I kept asking. And then I got desperate. So then I gave away anything. I used every excuse in the book. Please, please, please book with me. I begged, I pleaded, I asked, and I booked one. And that gave me a little bit of confidence. And that little bit of confidence made me ask a little better. And I'd ask more. And I'd just keep asking more. And then I booked a couple. And then that made me feel even more better so that I had more confidence. And when I'd go to a presentation, I would get better. When I'd ask more people, I'd be better. And my confidence increased. And then my parties got better. And then I threw deal or no deal into my parties, which is a game where I just ham it up. I play deal or no deal. And somehow I booked 2 to 3 parties almost every presentation off of playing this game. And so now I went from no one will book with me to I cannot even do all the parties I book. So really what it comes down to is I did the action and then I got the feeling. So John Maxwell says all the time, if you wait for a feeling, you're not going to get the feeling. If I just sat there and said, Marie, I'm not going to book a party until I feel like it's going to work for me, I would have never booked a party. But I did the action of just asking and asking and asking until the feeling of, oh my gosh, I can book parties any day of the week came. So that's, I think, my big change. Do the action and then the feeling comes.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that. And I remember even as recently as just this past December, I think it was, we were sitting at your kitchen table and talking about, I got some bookings, I'm trying, I'm calling, I've got the list, I want bookings, but it's just, and then all of a sudden you just stayed consistent in that asking. And now you have all these parties and all these bookings. So thank you for sharing that and being that. That's great. So one of the funny things that came out of our district manager retreat that we just had here from a training that Jessica Barrios did was she was talking some about mindset and stuff and was used the phrase, check yourself before you wreck yourself. So that's what I want to leave you with, this piece on this mindset. Before you pick up the phone, before you go make your calls, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself, because I promise you that the expectations that you have going into it are going to affect your outcome. So just make sure you've got that in check. So real quickly, why I think phone calls work better a lot of times in certain cases. And like I said, there's a lot of times I do text, and I'm actually going to share some of that. And why I think they're important because it's personal, right? I mean, we all know it's more personal. We're designed to connect with people and with each other as human beings and to be in relationship with each other. And I think that, honestly, I was thinking about this the other day, I think that us focusing on trying to do some phone calls and connect with people gives us a little bit of an edge these days, because there's so many other companies that are really primarily build their businesses through social media and through online, and it's focused that way, that I think we honestly can stand out right now by going that extra mile to really love on people and actually build relationships and invest and genuinely connect with them. And it just breaks the barrier. And put yourself in their shoes. And I'm certain that you've already experienced this. I could probably bet, I'd be willing to bet that probably every one of you on here has received a message, whether it's an email, a text, Facebook message from somebody in another company, one of your friends or acquaintances or something, asking you to take a look at their business or their products, or even if it's not anything around network marketing, just sending you a message about something. How easy is it? Because that's not your priority, right? When it comes up, you might be, oh, I can't look at that right now. And then you brush it off to the side and you forget about it. You don't go back to it. Or you just skim it. Or maybe you look at it and you're like, okay, she probably sent that to 500 of her other friends. Like, you know, but then if she were to actually, she or he, someone were to actually call you and ask you something, whether it's for a favor or to look at something or tell you something, it would feel like, oh, she's like really taking the time to talk to me. Like she actually thought of me. And you would feel, it would be just that much more personal. And you would feel like, okay, she really thought of me versus, oh, she probably just blasted this out to 500 people. And the last thing about the texting versus phone call thing, something to think about when it comes to this is texting, I think sometimes can put the ball in their court too much because it allows them, you know, they get your message, you asking them, I'd love to come over and pamper you and your friends and share products, blah, blah, blah. And they can either, it's so much easier, like I said, to just kind of like they're busy and they put it off and don't think about it and then forget. And then they don't get back to you and you're thinking, oh my word, is she mad at me? Is she ignoring me? And we play all this whole game. Or they can just easily be like, oh, I can't add to my to-do list. Like, no, not right now. It's not a good time. I'm busy. And just, it's easier for them to kind of just put it off and respond quick. No, because they're sitting there by themselves with their thoughts and their hesitations or their expectations of maybe what they think it is. Whereas if you're on the phone in dialogue with them, in conversation with them, usually, you know, they say no, or if they say no, they're going to share why. Like, well, we're going to get to this in a minute about what you can say, but they're going to share their hesitation. Well, it's really busy right now, or I don't know if my friends would be interested, or these different things that pop up, and you can right there have that dialogue with them. And a lot of times turn that around to a yes, just because maybe they didn't really understand what it is we do or how it would go. So that's one of the things I love about it. So here's a few of my tips to help you be prepared and have success. And like I said, I definitely use text and messaging, so I'm not against it. And I'm going to share one of my favorite ways to use it in a minute. And I want you to know with the tips and how-tos, like, I know that a lot of you are sitting there like, oh my gosh, the phone, like my heart is racing just thinking about calling somebody and asking. And I want you to know that as an executive regional vice president, I've been in Arbonne for 10 years. My heart still races every time. I just called a friend that I go to church with, we do community group with, like every week we see. And I was like, I'm going to apply this and I'm going to call her. So I texted her, said, I got a quick question for you. When is a good time I can give you a call? She's like, I'm actually getting out of work right now. You can call right now. I was like, oh, okay. Like I see this, I do life with this woman and I was still nervous to call. And so I called her, but as soon as you start talking, it's like, I try to remind myself, like, I'm just talking to people. Like, what's so scary about that? And there's something about breaking the ice. Once you do the first call, guys, like it's so much easier. Like just do it. But know that if you're feeling that nervous, you're shaky, I usually pace. I can never sit. Like it's hard for me right now to sit while I'm doing this because when I'm talking, I like to walk. So anyway, that's that. I like to write out, if the best thing to do is write out ahead of time, whether it's the night before for the next day, or if you can plan for the whole week, write out who you're going to call. So that when it's like, okay, I've got my 20 minutes, now you're sitting down trying to figure out who you're going to call. And before you know it, your 20 minutes is over and oops, I didn't get to call anybody. So be prepared. Be prepared with your contact list and also with your dates, your open dates for the next 30 days. Unless you're someone like Miss Danielle Piper, who is already booked and you're booking out further than that, then that's a great place to be in. Another tip is if you can, try and make it part of your routine and schedule it in. This is part of our business. Like I said, if you don't have a full calendar, this is your first focus right now. So schedule it into your day. I have had 3 children and babies and raised, they're still young kids, but during my business, and nap time was like my go time. I would say, okay, as soon as they're down in naps, I'm making 5 phone calls. And then depending on if I had a newborn or whatever, I'd be like, and then I need a nap too, but I'm doing my 5 phone calls first. Or if you have a commute to work or a lunch break, or maybe right after dinner before whatever, you have to put kids to bed or whatever you're doing. See if you can find a time to make it regular and make it routine that you can try and commit to, so that it's not like all day, you wake up and you got your list and you're just keep putting it off. I'll do it later. Or if you're prepared, it's something too that you can do one here or there throughout the day as you have time, if you don't have time to do it all right at once. Okay, so a couple more tips for people's phone numbers that you don't have. If you have, friends or acquaintances or whatever on Facebook, and you don't have their phone number, then I just send them a Facebook message and say, hey, I wanted to give you a quick call because I had a quick question for you. And I realized we don't have each other's numbers, or I don't have your number. Can we exchange? And then I give them my number. I've never had somebody say no. They're always like, sure. And they give it right back. Or you can say, I thought of you the other day and wanted to give you a quick call. Can I have your number? So I don't tell them anything about what I just say, had a question or had something I wanted to tell you. Could I have your number? And then if you want to break the ice, this is one thing I have loved using texting for, is especially with those people that are just acquaintances, or maybe it's somebody you've just met maybe a few days ago or last week or a couple weeks ago, gave them a sample and haven't been able to follow up, or somebody maybe you haven't talked to in like 5 years or 10 years, and you're afraid of like calling them and saying, hey, it's Marie. And they're like, who? I don't know why I always think people aren't going to know who I am. So a great way to break the ice with that is to send them a quick text. Just like I mentioned I did with my friend the other day. I said, hey, I had a quick question I wanted to ask you. When is a good time to give you a quick call? So then they're expecting your call. So I love that, because you don't have to do that awkward, hey, it's Marie, remember me? Or remember we met at... They're expecting your call, and you're more likely to get them to answer their phone because they know you're going to call and they said it was going to be a good time. So I love that. That works great. And then the last tip is to write out what you're going to say and practice it, because a lot of times we have it all in our head, and when we go to say it, it's just like, bleh. I've done that. I'm on the phone and I'm like, oh, this is not sounding like it sounded in my head. But that's where I love, like Danielle shared, like she asked people, and sometimes it wasn't always pretty, but that's how you get better, is just by doing it and growing that skill. And this is one of the things that Voxer is great for. Send a Voxer to your sponsor or your upline and say, hey, how does this sound? This is what I'm going to say when I call this person. And then that's great, because you can hear it out loud then too. And then maybe they could send back another one and say, oh yeah, or add this. And it's great because then you have it recorded and you can just listen to it over and over. Okay, so we got a few minutes left. So let's get into the ask and some simple wording and verbiage of what to say. So first of all, if you haven't been doing phone calls, or if you have, you already know this, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to get a lot of voicemails, because I know most people don't answer their phone. So I leave a brief message and I just say, I had a quick question I wanted to ask you. Give me a call when you get a second. Or I know you're really busy, so if I don't hear from you in a few days, I'll try to give you a call back. That way I'm already setting up the go ahead for me to call back if I don't hear from them. So I don't leave in the message what I was calling about. But the part about, sometimes I'll sit down and I'll do 5 phone calls and I get all voicemails. But I'm like, what? I've done my part of that. Those are out there. And the more you do that, we're going to talk about that, but the more you do that, the more they'll start coming back to you. So your goal in your ask, and you can think about this in any time, any scenario when you're talking outbound with somebody, your goal is to make it easy for them to say yes. So whatever it is you're asking, however you phrase it, make it easy to say yes. Or you can think of that as make it hard to say no. Whichever way makes more sense in your head. So one of the things I feel sometimes when I hear or use the wording for this scenario of asking somebody to host, when I say, would you be willing to get a few friends together, or would you get some people together and I'll come over? I don't know why, but in my head sometimes for that, like that, would you do this? Are you willing to? Feels to me like I have to add to my to-do list and do something. It's just easier to be like, nope, I'm not willing to do anything. I am already busy. So I think it's easier for people to just say no. So try and answer ask non-yes or no questions, more like open-ended type questions. So I'm just going to launch right into what I would say so you can see what I mean and how I, in the dialogue, keep it going. So, I would say, hi, I'm going to use my phone. It does feel weird without it. I have my own health and wellness business with Arbonne International, who offers amazing plant-based beauty and nutrition products. And I thought of you because I know that you are always looking to be healthy and live a healthy lifestyle. And what I do are product samplings where you and a few of your friends can get together, and I'll bring everything with me to do. We could do either a relaxing spa night with facials, or healthy happy hour with our nutrition, or fit and facials with both. And then you can actually get rewards, which most people usually get a free product and about 80% off. And I can also help your friends get discounts too if they decide they want anything. I would love to just pencil in a date because I know that you're going to love these products. And then you listen. So you hear that I would love to pencil in a date, or I would love to pamper you with the products. I would love to pamper you, to share these with you and a few friends. That's not as much of like a yes or no, right? Like I would love to do that for you. And I know I mentioned, fit and facials, or facials, healthy happy hour, those kind of different themes. I always really pretty much do the same thing and share the same products at all my parties. I'm just using those different themes kind of to appeal to people so they can think of realize what it is we do. So real quick, I know we're just about done with our call here, but I want to go through a couple of the responses that you might get. So you might get a yes. They might just be like, oh yeah. And I think sometimes we prepare so much for the hesitations that sometimes when somebody says yes, we're like, oh, okay. Like you almost don't know what to do. So that's where you want to be prepared with your calendar and stay cool and just be like, great, here's a couple dates I have. And inside you're like, well, that was easy. So that happens. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it happens. There's people that are just like, yeah, I would love to do that. And that's the best after you're like all prepared with your next line of defense. But a couple of the responses, if they don't just say yes, might be that are common are, I'm too busy. So I would say to that, I totally understand. Sounds like maybe this could be something that would be a good reason for you then to slow down and have a reason to get together to catch up with your girlfriend since you're so busy right now and get pampered and reboot you. And then here's the magic line. You guys ready for the magic line? Could I just run a couple of dates by you that I still have open and see if one might work? So again, that's easy to say yes to, right? Because I'm not even asking for a commitment right now. I'll just run a couple dates by you that I have open, see if they might work. I've never had somebody say no. They always say yes. So I share my next 2 dates, typically within the next 2 weeks, because I want to try and book as soon as I can. And because what happens, I think people sometimes just say no, or I'm busy, because they're thinking of all of their calendar, all their life in their head. And if you can get them to narrow in on 1 or 2 dates, what's happened a lot of times is I'll say, well, I have this date and this date. And she'll be like, you know what, that date, actually, my husband has to work late. So that would actually be a really good night for me to have friends over because he's not even going to be around. Perfect. Like that happens a lot. If you can get them to look at a specific date. If you look at those 2 dates and those don't work, I go, well, I also have, and I name another date. And then usually by then you can find one that you can at least pencil in. If that third one still doesn't work, I act like I'm looking and I'm like, let me see. I also have, and I'll play this game all night long. I also have, until I can get a date that they're like, yeah, that might work. Well, great, let's pencil it in. It's like magic. So then they might also say, so another thing they might say is, I don't want my friends to feel like they have to buy anything or pressure my friends or they don't have any money. I totally understand. You know, I'm filling up and making some more phone calls right now. So oh no, wait, I'm sorry. Lost my notes. That was the wrong one. That didn't make sense. So if they say don't have money, don't want to pressure my friends, I totally understand. You know what? I actually make it a goal in my business to make sure nobody ever feels pressured because I don't like that either. To be honest, I really just want to get my name out there and get Arbonne's products out there and share it with new people. And plus, honestly, even if there is somebody who doesn't want to buy something, they're still going to have a great night because you guys are going to get to catch up and they're going to get a fun pampering experience. Could I just run a couple of dates by you that I still have open and see if one might work? Maybe they say, well, let me check my calendar and get back to you. I understand. You don't have your calendar in front of you right now. Why don't we do this? I'm filling up real quick and I'm going to do some more calls right now. So can I just run a couple dates by you that I still have open and see if one might work? So last one is sometimes I run into them saying, let me check with my friends and see if they would be interested, or they say, let me check with my friends and see when would work for them. I totally understand. I know that, but I know that all of your friends won't be able to be there at the same time, and that's okay. I'm filling up quick, so why don't we do this? If I pick a time that works for you and me, and then whichever of your friends can make it, that's great. It only needs to be about 3 to 5 people is still great. So could I just run a couple of dates by you that I still have open and see if one might work? So I want to encourage you guys to be brave. Don't let the fear of phone calls win over you. I'm a really competitive person, so sometimes I use that to my advantage in situations like this where I'm like, well, darn it, if I don't do it, then I'm giving in and I'm letting that win over me. And like, I'm not going to let that happen. So turn that on if you need to. Use this awesome method to help you grow your business. And if you're needing more activity, I want to challenge you to use the second page of our Doing Your Part sheet. You know, our Doing Your Part sheet has where you can track each week. And on the second page, it has each day, and it just has blank spots. So you can even use a piece of paper if you need to, blank piece of paper. And it has the 6 most important things to do for your business each day of the week. So I want to encourage you and challenge you to write out those 6 spots each day, with all of those spots being people that you're going to call. So that's 6 people a day to ask. And again, like I said, if your calendar's full and bursting, then just run with that. But if not, and you need a boost, try this and commit to it. And the key is to stay consistent in it for a little while, because we could all sit here, even right now tonight when we hang up, or tomorrow, and make 6 phone calls. Like I said, get 6 voicemails and be like, okay, well, that didn't do anything. So I think that it's like everything else in our business where we have to really stay consistent in it to see the results. Because as you keep doing that, you're going to have all these voicemails out there. You're going to have people reaching back out to you, and it will start coming through if you'll stay consistent in that. So if you do 6 calls a day starting tomorrow, even for just the business days that are left in March, that's 42 people in March to work on booking and filling up your calendar for April. It takes starting now, not waiting till you get to April to fill up April. So I want to challenge you guys. That's what I'm going to be doing this week, is working on the rest of this month, doing my 6 calls a day, because I still need to fill up some in my April too. So thank you for your time. I'm sorry we went a little bit over. Carlita, are you there, or am I just going to wrap this up maybe? I didn't know if you wanted to pop back.
Hey, Marie, I just real quick wanted to say, this is Tammy Higginbotham. You did an outstanding job, and you are so right. I mean, once you start doing just a little bit in your business and really build that confidence, then you'll be willing and excited about doing more. So I thank you so much. It was fantastic. Love you, girl.
Thank you, Tammy. Love you too. I learned from the best.
You're precious. Thanks.
Absolutely, Dean or Marie. And I was going to say, whenever Danielle was talking about how she started doing it and it was bad, and then she got good because she just got more confidence and practice. It's that saying that we say all the time. In order to be great, you have to be good first. In order to be good, you've got to be bad. In order to be bad, you got to get started. And you guys, it's that simple. I mean, it really is knowing and trusting there's enough people out there to find your yeses, no matter how bad you are when you start out. If you just keep going and not let, your learning process stop you before you get good and great at it. So you girls, this is a powerful training, and it's going to be a great one to have. And I love that you took us back to old school, Marie, because this is definitely, what we were doing back in the day whenever we didn't have texting and didn't do it that way. And I absolutely believe it makes a big difference for people to hear a voice. And even if you'd sent a voice text, instead of just texting with the text, it makes a difference. So thank you so much. I was so excited for this training when you told me what you were going to do and how you were going to do it. So I know it will be one for our records to be able to pull out of the archives and use over and over and over again. Great job.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add or questions.
Marie, you might talk a little bit about the deal or no deal. I know for some of us it's like just a known fact, but some people were asking about that.
Okay. Yeah. So deal or no deal is where at the end of your party, when you're going over the ways to be a part of Arbonne, Danielle, I want you to hop on and share this because I love the way you make it so silly, but it's where you are giving, basically you wrap up the picture of different products that they will get. You're going to play deal or no deal. And the deal is that they get to open it and get that product at their party when they book one. But Danielle has such a way that she makes this, I think, really fun, and she's having great success with it now. So I want you to share your wording, Danielle.
Okay, so I have a bunch of envelopes in my hand, and I say, okay, we're going to play a game. It's deal or no deal. You guys remember that with the briefcases and the money? Well, this is your chance to win stuff. So I'm going to start. Do not open these envelopes. Everyone pick one. Who knows? You could win $1 million could be in this envelope. Probably not. Okay. And the next person takes one. A new car, a white Mercedes could be in the probably not. And then everyone starts going, probably not. And I'm like, or it could be Arbonne products. And they're like, oh, probably. And then I just look at the person who looks the most excited. And I say, okay, you get to go first. If you're going to pick a deal, that means you are allowing me to come into your home and share these great products with just a few of your friends. I mean, it doesn't need to be 8 people like there is here tonight. It could be just 3 of us around the table. But if you're willing to bring me into your home, I'm going to appreciate that so much because you are how I meet new people. And I'm so thankful for that. So if you are willing to do that for me, I would love it. And you'll get whatever's in that envelope, whether it's $1 million, a car, or some Arbonne products. And then deal or no deal. If they say deal, they get whatever's in the envelope. And then people get that I'm willing to switch things out. And it's fun when the other friends get involved. They're like, oh, come on, just open it. She'll give you whatever you want. Just open it. So if they open it up and they're like, oh, nutrition bars. I'm like, oh, they're amazing. You're going to love them. But did you really want that mascara? Okay. I'll put you down for mascara. So that's it.
Or $1 million. Put me down for the $1 million.
$1 million. One thing, since we're talking about the same ways. One of the first parties I was going to where I actually was invested in trying to book parties, and this was like the one that I struggled to finally get. I called Jessica Darius, my sponsor, and I said, I need some tips before I get to this party. Like, just tell me, like, what do I need to know? It's just like, be fun. And I said, oh my gosh, do you know me? Like, that's not that's not me. So I think I go above and beyond just being goofy and silly, because that's me as a person. Like when I'm with my family, I'm goofy and silly. So I just, I think at the beginning I wanted to be the expert, know everything. And I put all this pressure on myself, and then just be fun. And so Deal or No Deal gives me the chance to just be fun.
I love that you said that, Danielle, because that's what I was coach some girls that are, very structured, and their personality is not to be, fun loving and stuff. And yet they're in a group full of people. And I'm like, these games are what helps you, make yourself part of their group without having to do it all on your own and trying to change your personality, which is never going to be comfortable for you. But these games are a structured way of helping you do that. And there's so many things, you guys, if you are so much fun, you have no facts and information to add value to what you do, then you're going to need to work on adding more value. But your strengths and your weaknesses, and you gotta be able to have a mixture of all of it so that you can play to your crowd, no matter who that is, and you'll figure that out when you walk in the door. And you've got to be able to pull that out, whenever you get there, and you figure out who you're going to be talking to that night. So being prepared like that is a great thing, but I love how you use the tool to do it.
I was going to say, Carlita, too, to add to that, to go right with what you were saying, Danielle and Carlita, is you do have to really ham it up on those games. And if it makes you nervous, I would get some stuffed toys on the couch and stand in front of them like you just did and do it until you can. Because I think I've seen people do it very stoically, try to play Deal or No Deal, and they don't get very far with it because of that reason. So we have to be willing to ham it up. I have a Mercedes emblem, and one of my I use I have their gift card holders, but I have a Mercedes emblem. And so that one is the special one. If anybody gets that one, that's one that, hey, if you guys ever get the Mercedes emblem, that means you get to pick which product you want, which is basically inadvertently what you're saying, but it's over and above. If they pick a night cream, they pick a night cream. It's one of the kind of the whatever. It's like the special one.
Hey guys, it's Terry Wilson and Beth. I just wanted to, can you guys hear me? I've got a bad cold, so I don't know. I love Deal or No Deal. I remember the day it came across email from Linda Parker. I think I was baby in the business 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But you're absolutely right. You have to ham it up. I still have my little boxes, and I go, okay, let's pretend I'm Howie Mandel. Yes, I'm not bald, but these are the $1 million boxes. And I explain, the prizes that they can get. And I'm like, one of them is a white Mercedes in here. Doesn't mean you get to drive mine home tonight, but I can teach you how you can do that too. And then if they get the white Mercedes, they get to pick anything for free out of the catalog. And then all the other boxes have, some of my favorites. But like Marie shared, I'll switch out. If you don't really want that shampoo or something, you can get the primer or whatever it is. But for me, I absolutely love that game because everyone, and I don't care if you're an MVP, RVP, whatever level you are, we all hate to pick up the phone and say, can you host a party for me? So I would rather give away the farm at a presentation to get those bookings. And for me, this game has just been consistently a game changer for me and always got me bookings off of bookings. So if you guys have questions about that, I know a couple of you have sent me comments about, I have a video of me doing a close with the Deal or No Deal too, so I can actually send that to you guys if you want to see that. But it's just really been a game changer for me. It made it so much easier to book off of bookings rather than picking up the phone and call.
And I know a couple tips on that. I know I saw Rebecca just asked at what point you play the game. So at the end where, usually you share about the business, preferred client, and then host, it's nice to do it in that order because then you can end it with that game. And that way you've shared the information already about the other stuff. or whichever order you do it in. Typically when you're talking about host is when I play it. And I think you do too, Danielle, right? I think you do it consultant, preferred client, and then host and close it out that way.
Sometimes I do it after while they're putting the lotion on their feet. Like I lotion their feet right at the very end if I do a foot spa before I go into my clothes, actually, because everyone's feeling really good with their feet being lotioned. So I'll play the game. I'll say, okay, right before I wrap this up, we're going to play a quick game. And then I do the game. And then I actually tell about the consultant, preferred client, and go from there. So. And then if I forget to do it then, which I do all the time, at the very end, I'll say, oh, I forgot to play the game really quick. Everybody, we're still going to play this game. So.
Cool. Thank you. And a lot of times for those of you who are new or don't have products, because we don't carry stock and stuff, sometimes it's nice if you get your own host rewards. You can get some of these products in with your own discounts or the free product through the host rewards that you can just have on your shelf yourself so that you can use those. Or you can use the host free product and select the pictures from those so that's what you're then getting, because they're not going home with it that night. They're getting it at their party. So you basically can use their host rewards to select that product. And that's why it's so easy, like Danielle said, to really, if they want to switch it out for anything else on that list at their party, they can. So that's the way you can do it, without having to worry about coming out of pocket or having all those products on hand.
Yeah, if anybody wants to YouTube how they play that deal or no deal, that would be a cool thing to have, just a little short YouTube of. If Terry, if you haven't, you want to post it, or if Danielle, if you guys want to, do real quick what you did tonight and just do a little quick deal or no deal video, that might be something fun to have in our archives too. Okay.
Hey there, Terry's gonna upload it to YouTube.
Okay. It shouldn't take too long. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
she has the video on her desktop. She's just going to upload it real quick.
Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. Marie, thank you so much, honey, for doing this. It was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me. Thanks for staying on a little bit later, guys. I know it's kind of late.
Yeah.